Hello and welcome back to my model railroad. So I know it's been a while since I've posted a video, and as you can see I really haven't done a whole lot. Life has certainly gotten busy. Had a couple major life events this year, but found some free time and most importantly even cleaned up the room here that I'm referring to as the train room. So as you can see here, here's my original 4x6 foot layout, and what we're going to do is expand the layout over into that direction. And as you can see there, I have some magazines laid out on the floor, how far out the table would go. And the idea is to build another 4x6 foot table that comes out to about right here. And then another 4x6 foot table that comes out to right here, leaving a 2-foot wide walkway right in the middle. And also leaving a walkway, 2-foot walkway, over here close to the window. And then there isn't a similar walkway 2-foot wide on the other side of that table, so that way you can just get inside and access the trains. Like I said, this is quite a while in the making. One of the things we had to do was clean up this room, which we did a couple weeks ago, and I've just been excited about expanding the layout ever since. Have a couple of things to take in mind, but part of the reason why I decided on this layout, first, the attic steps pull down right here, so I had to make sure that we didn't go too wide, much past about this point right here due to the attic steps, and then they would pull down to about right around here, which would give me about 2.5, maybe 2 feet 9 inches in order to still comfortably run a train along the length of the wall. And one thing that would allow me to do would be to either have a tunnel, a mountain, a bridge, a valley, something along those lines, so that way I could actually go ahead and do some scenery, do some landscaping, rather than just having it be a long, almost 15-foot long straightaway, which would get kind of dull after a while. Okay, so here's a rough outer mold line of what the entire layout would look like. I'm going to try to make this a little clearer by just having the picture appear in the video, not me videotaping the monitor. We'll see how good I am with some of the video software. But so here is roughly, as you can see here, this would be one 4x6 foot table, this would be the second, and this would be the third. Attic steps would pull down right around here, and this would leave us plenty of walkways on all sides of the actual layout in order to access the trains. Now, okay, this is a little bland right here because I'm using the available version of C or SRAM, CRAM, SRAM, I suppose it is. You're limited on the amount of track pieces you're allowed to put down, so I have this in a few different files. I took screenshots of all of them. So now, this would be what it would look like if you had 2 trains running, kind of similar to how I do now. I was thinking maybe of having this third, I guess, the middle part of the M shape just be the outer loop train, just to make that a little bit more interesting. Here's one concept where it would just be an independent loop where the train wouldn't necessarily have to go down there, and then, have single crossovers made with some switch tracks here and here, and now just detailing each side of the dog bone. Here's one concept for a rail yard, just using a bunch of turnouts, and it would still be able to place some scenery and some other parts of the rail yard around here. One of the other concepts I have is for, so here would be just an example of a kind of a pretzel loop, just make it more interesting on the inside, and then on the outer loop for that extra little piece in the middle here is a possibility of a pretzel loop here as well, just to add some variability to the layout, make it so it's not just a bunch of straight lines. I was also thinking of, like I said, doing a change of elevation here, whether having this go down into a tunnel or up over a mountain. Might even put an elevated train just between these two halves, just to just get some more action going on in there. I do like scenery, however, for me it's always been about the trains. That's the part I love the most, is just being able to see the trains. Add on as much rolling stock as I can. So I might skimp on the scenery or the buildings a little bit, just to kind of maximize the amount of trains that I'm able to run in the narrow space. It's quite long, but I don't have a whole lot of room to really expand the width all that much. So if you look at the timestamps on any of those pictures that I had on the previous layout, you'll notice that I designed them last year in December. Well, right around then, my father-in-law actually dropped off all of his old HO scale train model layout. Here is a schematic of what he had in his home years ago. It's this nice double Y layout, absolutely gorgeous. He was showing me all the different specs on it and everything, and So what he actually did is gave me most, if not all, of the pieces of this layout, as well as, you know, just a ton of his engines and rolling stock. So he definitely wins father-in-law of the year. Actually, probably of the decade at this rate. But one of the things is that, unfortunately, I won't be able to duplicate this exact layout. I do like all the switches that are involved. It really keeps the you know, the operator in the action. One thing I don't like is just, you know, this area right here. You'll see that the train, you know, goes from 2 tracks just down to 1. Kind of, you know, forces the operator to, you know, make sure that they're stopping the train. So, you know, you can't, you know, run to the restroom or something like that. I do enjoy that this would certainly keep the operator more involved with all the switching. It's also probably a lot more complex logic. If you're going to run all this on DC, then I would, then I'm currently knowledgeable about. But, you know, what it did is it really gave me an idea to look at different layouts and really expand kind of my horizons and incorporate more switching. And since then, I've been learning about reversing tracks and things like that. And, you know, that's really, once again, spurring on the question, do I go with a DCC or do I stay with DC and, you know, do, you know, reversing switches and things like that, you know, reverse polarity switches. That way the train can, you know, actually reverse itself on the same track. For right now, I'm going to say stay DC just because of the equipment that I already do have. And I'm probably going to make incremental changes and eventually work my way up to something, maybe not to this size or complexity, but maybe a little bit more complex than just standard trains running on independent loops, just to, you know, keep the operator a little bit more involved than they would be currently. Because right now you can literally, you know, set the trains and then just walk away, and you know, like I said, it doesn't really keep the operator that involved other than just kind of watching the train going around in a circle. And that's where, you know, making the layout a little bit more interesting. I mean, here especially, not even just because, you know, there's 2 trains and because they're switching, but also you can see here the train would actually enter a tunnel and then, you know, reappear over here, which I just find to be very, very cool and interesting. It just adds depth to the layout, adds some realism, and then you can kind of just, you know, make the scenery here or here be whatever you would like it to be, you know, rail yard being here, and I think down here is supposed to be a little bit of an industrial area. So along the lines of that, what he did also give me was some of the pieces that he had actually used of the track. Some bare cork and some flex track. So what I'm hoping to do on this video is actually do a little tutorial on, and actually just practice myself on actually cutting some flex track, shaping it, soldering it, and attaching some wires, just so that I can kind of get a feel for, you know, how easy it is, and, you know, do I need to improve my technique. So like I said, I hope to expand that either in this video or a future video, just to give myself a little bit of practice, and also you know, the community out there, everybody's been great with giving me pointers and other pieces of advice. Thank you very much. I do take everything to heart. I mean, you know, most of the people out there have been doing this a lot longer than I have, so you know, I definitely really appreciate all the advice that's been given. But like I said, we'll see if we can fire up the new soldering gun I have. I don't even have to use a wood burner anymore in order to solder. So like I said, we're starting to make some major improvements, and we're ready to expand this layout.